Hello there, gamers and Monster Jam enjoyers. Welcome back to Monster Jam Analysis. This is going to be the analysis of the 2014 season of Whit Tarlton driving the Monster Mutt truck. We are going to go over the name of the town, drivers he competed against, wins if he got any, and number of appearances he had made that season. Fun fact, this would be the last time that Whit Tarlton would drop a full season of Monster Jam, and he would retire soon after the 2014 season. Also, if you wish to see this information, there is a link to this whole 2014 season spreadsheet down below that you can find. Now, to start us off, he would be going to Rochester, New York for his first stop on the Monster Jam 2014 season, featuring a lineup of Bob Robbins in Aftershock, Gary Porter in Gravedigger, Jay Snyder in Illuminator, Lloyd Twitchell in Crazy Train, himself in Monster Mutt, and David Rapich in Rap Attack. The results for the show was he would win the wheelie competition on the first show, and it was pretty much digger domination for the rest of it. His next show would be at Greensboro, North Carolina, with a lineup featuring Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Brandon Lagarde, Ground Pounder, Jimmy Tracy, Higher Education, Trey Myers, Iron Warrior, Whit Tarlton, Monster Mutt, Allison Patrick, Samson, Stephen Hill, Shock Therapy, Bill Brockman, Shockwave. And the results for those shows were as he would get another wheelies win on the first show, which pretty much, again, Gary Porter with digger domination during that show. The next show he would be at would be Albany, New York. And the results for that show was he would again win a wheelies competition win, but this time in the second show with all the other drivers, which have a lineup of Brandon Darrow, Bad News Travels Fast, Greg Wickenbach, Crustacean, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Stephen Thompson, Hurricane Force, Whit Tarlton, Monster Mutt, and John Killinger in Storm Damage, as he would win the wheelies competition on the second show, and the rest of the wins spread among them. The next show he would be at Knoxville, Tennessee, with a lineup of Full Bore with Ed Eckert, Gravedigger, Gary Porter, Monster Mutt, Will Tarlton, Predator with Alan Pizzo, Prowler with Dale Mitchell, and Andy Hoffman with a War Wagon. He would again win another wheelies competition on the first show with wins spread amongst the other drivers. His next show would be in Uniondale, New York, with a lineup featuring Greg Wickenbach, Crustacean, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Stephen Thompson, Hurricane Force, Jay Snyder, Illuminator, Monster Mutt with Whit Tarlton, Bill Brockman, Shockwave, John Killinger, Storm Damage, and with Thrasher and Pat Suma. He would be more successful at these shows as he would win a racing win on night 4, a donuts win in show 2, and again a freestyle win on show 4. His next show would be at Hartford, Connecticut, with a lineup featuring Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Heavy Hitter Derek Anson, Jimmy Tracy, Higher Education, Jay Snyder, Illuminator, Iron Warrior, Trey Myers, Whit Tarlton, Monster Mutt, Stevie Snellen, River Rat, Thrasher with Pat Suma. And the results from this show, as he would get no wins, as it would basically be digger domination once again. The next show he would bat would be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with a lineup featuring Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Roy Pridgeon, Ice Cream Man, Jay Snyder and Illuminator, Paul Bro and Instigator, Leo Donnell, Iron Man, Wilt Tarlton and Monster Mutt, Exterminator with J.R. McNeil, and Zombie with Sean Duhan. As the wins for the show they are basically digger domination once again, with Iron Man through in there again, but Wilt Tarlton would not win once again. As the next show on the list will be Providence, Rhode Island, with the lineup featuring Aftershock, Bob Robbins, Craig Wickenbach, Crustacean, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Higher Education, Jimmy Tracy, Iron Warrior, Trey Myers, Crazy Train with Lloyd Twitchell, Monster Mutt with Whit Tarlton, and Thrasher with Pat Suma. As the results from the show are that once again, it's a split between Greg Wickenbach and Gary Porter for wins, and Whit Tarlton would not win anything once again. As the next show is going to be at Tupelo, Mississippi, with a lineup featuring Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Buddy Tompkins and Ice Cream Man, Monster Mutt, Whit Tarlton, Straight Jacket, Kevin King, War Wagon with Andy Hoffman, and Exterminator with J.R. McNeil. As the results from this show we pull up in a moment, as Whit Tarlton would get a freestyle win on show 1, with the rest of these being Digger domination once again. As the next show will be at Biloxi, Mississippi, with the lineup featuring Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Scott Hartsock, Gunslinger, Iron Man, Lee O'Donnell, Whit Tarlton and Monster Mutt, Darren Goyen and War Wizard, and Zombie with Sean Duhan. As again, Whit Tarlton would win the wheelies competition on show 2, with the wins spread amongst the other drivers in Biloxi. He would next be in Huntsville, Alabama, with a lineup featuring Ed Eckert, Full Bore, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Higher Education, Jimmy Tracy, Iron Warrior with Trey Myers, Monster Mutt with Whit Tarlton, and War Wagon with Andy Hoffman. As we pull up the results for this show as we speak, for Huntsville, Whit Tarlton be a bit more successful, winning the wheelies competition on both show 1 and show 2, and winning the freestyle competition on show 3. Be overall more successful for Whit Tarlton this time, as we travel to the next show on the list, as he would be in Cincinnati, Ohio, with a lineup featuring Brandon Darrow, Bad News Travels Fast, Crustacean, Greg Wickenbach, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Damon Bradshaw, Monster Energy, Monster Mutt, Whit Tarlton, Zombie with Sean Duhan. As we pull up the results for this show, as again he would get 2 wins in the wheelie competition on show 1 and show 3, and the rest spread among the other drivers in Cincinnati, Ohio. As the next lineup for Raleigh, North Carolina, the next show was be Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Steven Sims, Hooked, Lindsey Wink, Lucas Oil Crusader, Medusa with Medusa, Whit Tarlton, Monster Mutt, and Steve Sims in Stone Crusher. As the Raleigh results are being pulled up, as we are going to have no wins for Whit Tarlton, as the wins were spread amongst the other drivers in Raleigh, North Carolina. The next show is going to be in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, with a lineup featuring Bounty Hunter, Trent Montgomery, Alex Blackwell with Captain's Curse, El Toro Loco with Taryn Lasky, Gary Porter with Gravedigger, Iron Outlaw Nate Kirchner, Monster Mutt Whit Tarlton, Cam McQueen in Northern Nightmare, and Spider-Man with Barry Musauer. As it would show that Whit Tarlton would not win anything here, as it would be spread amongst the other drivers, and mostly Cam McQueen in Canada being Canadian domination right here. As the final show for the arenas will be in Sunrise, Florida, with a lineup featuring Ed Eckert, Full Bore, Gravedigger, Gary Porter, Adam Anderson, Gravedigger the Legend, Scott Hartsock, Gunslinger, Medusa, and Monster Mutt with Whit Tarlton. As we pull up the results, it's going to be a pretty successful thing for Whit Tarlton, considering the lineup, as he's going to get a wheelies win on show 2 and also a donuts win on show 2. This will end the arenas portion of this as we move on to speedways. As the first speedway he was at was in Erie, Pennsylvania, with the lineup featuring Aftershock, Bob Robbins, Bad News Travel Fast, Brandon Darrow, Crustacean, Greg Wickenbach, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Crazy Train, Lloyd Twitchell, and Monster Mutt with Whit Tarlton. as he would not be able to pick up a win. Actually, I'm wrong in this. He would pick up a freestyle win on the show 2 in Erie, as the wins are spread amongst Greg Wickenbach and Gary Porter. The next and final show of this podcast will be in Knoxville, Iowa. It will be a lineup featuring El Toro Loco, Rod Schmidt, Gary Porter, Gravedigger, Ice Cream Man, Jimmy Walker, Monster Mutt with Whit Tarlton, and Cam McQueen with Northern Nightmare, and Exterminator with J.R. McNeil, as he would get a wheelies win on show 2 in Knoxville, with the rest of the wins going to Gary Porter and Cam McQueen. Overall, I would say this season was pretty good, ending with 17 wins overall, with 10 in the wheelies, 1 racing, 2 in the donuts, and 3 in freestyle for arenas, and getting 1 wheelies win in speedways. And his appearances, as he would get 1 win for every event, as he would make 17 appearances. That's an average of 1. So he went 1 for 1 this season, in his final season. I would say, for the amount of times he appeared, he should have gotten more wins. He was good when there was only Gary Porter there, but if there was another failed driver there, he wasn't winning anything unless he popped off for some reason. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty good season in terms of stuff he did. He wasn't the worst driver in 2014 for Feld, but he certainly wasn't the best either. Alright, this has been Monster Jam Analysis, and I hope to see you all next time. Jared Eichelberger, 2016, next.